What's up guys, Justin here. This is vlog 104 and I am back home in New York. I've had an insane last few weeks. Things have been going very well. Last month I shared my story about how I came to the decision to change my relationship to my dopamine habits. And in that video I shared that it felt like I would keep going and that I would sustain these habits instead of rebounding back, revenge degenerate. And now, 4 or 5 weeks later, I am happy to report that things have stayed sustained. And I feel very comfortable with how I've reconfigured my lifestyle. There we go. And as I said in that last video, I've been writing and breaking down the entire system that worked for me. And as I've been doing that, what happened was it became kind of a larger project. I realized that there were a lot of principles and perspective shifts that had been building over like a decade of trial and error around installing this set of behaviors in myself. And I realized that it's kind of a long piece. And I also realized that I can't make that video in its entirety down to all the details that I would love to in one video. And so what I want to do instead is to just give like a high-level introduction to the concept of reconfiguring your dopamine habits. The more I've thought about it, the more I've realized that this has improved my life dramatically. And it's also not the only thing that I've been sustaining in my life. I've been very good about taking care of my physical health. I've been very good about tackling my emotional blind spots. I've been very good about going after and building work that I am passionate about and that I enjoy. And this last piece, with regards to setting up my energy system correctly, setting up my relationship to pleasure, this has been one of the final pieces. And so I want to be mindful when I unpack this project that it sets the right expectations, because in the last video I was celebrating how beautiful and fulfilling that my life felt. And I have to concede that that isn't just because I reconfigured my relationship to these substances. It's because it's a whole package lifestyle change. And this really got me thinking, what am I doing all this for? And I realized that among many things, there is something specific that I want to contribute to the world. When I think about the kind of work that I want to do, I mentioned in my first video that I'd like to do work that helps people solve problems that I personally relate to. And for me, among many things, my relationship to pleasure has been one that has really plagued me. And it's not just in substances or food or media, it's also been in relationships, it's been in romance, it's been in my standard for attraction, for beauty, for sex. And I'm finding that the more that I've sustained this system of boundaries and intentionality around the way that I intake pleasure and the way that I value pleasure, not only is it giving me a lot of energy, but it's also making me feel more able to be intimate with people. And I don't mean that in necessarily like a sexual romantic way, but it just in terms of like actually feeling myself belonging in community, in my relationships, actually feeling myself relaxed around people. And I used to think I was relaxed, and I was to a certain degree, especially with people that I was close to. But now that my integrity around these relationships is clicking up a notch, or several notches, into more full alignment with what I really believe to be good for me, I'm finding that there's a new level of relaxedness. And I do think that that's a big source of where I'm getting so much energy, because I no longer have to hold that. And I get to really enjoy my pleasures without guilt. And so that's something that I feel would be really fun and really fulfilling to build a map of, and to offer it as a product or a service to people who are interested in making that change for themselves. And so what I want to do is, instead of making a whole video about the entire system, I'm going to do a series. And my intention with this is that I want people to be able to break free from illusory belief systems, such as the powerlessness to addiction, or how hard it is to break addictions, or how much reliance needs to go towards willpower and discipline and force. And I want to build a small, I think it's going to be a small body of work, maybe it'll be larger, but I want to build a series of videos that covers the entire system of how you treat yourself like an ecosystem and make adjustments to your self-awareness, both in terms of scope of view and precision of view, not through force, not through strain, but through a practice of study, experimentation, and cultivation that ultimately will lead to lasting personal transformation. There's also a timeliness element to this. I think this is important for a lot of us today in this era, because we live in an environment of overstimulation. We live in an environment where there's a lot that we get to have, and without the proper boundaries and intention, it becomes toxic. And the kind of contribution I want to make is that by doing this, I want to create an example of when you develop a certain level of self-awareness, certain skills, very specific boundaries and constraints, and you enforce them effectively. I think there's a lot of things in this world that we consider toxic, but they can actually be very beautiful and very pleasurable in ways that can be enjoyed sustainably if we are able to maintain an intentional relationship with them. And that goes for social media, that goes for sex-related stuff, that goes for food. And I think developing any kind of skill like this is going to be really important in a world where there is so much contact with each other. I think abundance without boundaries is toxic. I think pleasure without boundaries is destructive. This makes me think of the fungi or the bacteria that you often hear about, where we discover that they're able to start digesting plastic. It's like, we as this current generation of humans, if we can't evolve at a biological level, we have to evolve at a psychic level. We have to intentionally craft psychic anatomy that helps us digest and enjoy the new environment. And the new environment, however toxic you want to believe that it is here, and it's going to continue to proliferate. And so for me, this project feels really exciting, because for me, what it's done is it's helped me feel very excited to be in this world, in this time. It helps me have a lot of hope to be able to connect, not just with my substances and my entertainment and my pleasures, but also with people. Like, I now have a model, having done a lot of intentional and strategic work on myself to develop boundaries and to have faith and to develop diligence and discipline, that's helped me take things that I used to feel were stuff that I had to either completely cut out or were evil or were bad, and now I'm able to enjoy them and interface with them in a way that feels really good and feels really enriching and really beautiful and really fun. So I'm going to start releasing videos more frequently. I may take a break for a month or two because I'm going to be traveling a lot. And in the meantime, what I would like to do, or what I would like to ask of you, the viewer, is if this feels relevant to you and if this feels like something that's useful to you, or if you have questions, please connect with me. You can email me. I'll also have some kind of sign-up related something on this video, I'd like to collect a lot of emails and contacts, because I think this project could be really cool. I think this project could be really useful. And I think it can be meaningful at a scale that is larger than I thought it would be. Again, I don't think it's just about removing your addictions. I think it's about developing really functional and beautiful and pleasurable relationships with things that we formerly thought were toxic or things that we had to cut out. And that gives me a lot of hope. And I hope it does for you too. I'll see you guys in the next video.